Sometimes I get asked how to deal with the storms in life. I like to think about the character Storm from the Marvel comics, or X-Men as it's popular. You know, she had these special eyes and this special power that she could create storms and channel storms, and kind of cool. But I noticed that she had special eyes, and it's kind of powerful because for me, it kind of tells a story of what yogis will explain, that as your vision is different, you see things differently, and her vision is different. Anyway, this is my take on it. But what I thought was I could share with you an acronym that I use and the way I look at storms based on the knowledge of yoga. Maybe it can be of some use. In a storm, the S stands for shelter. What's the first thing you do when there's a storm? You go for the bunker, you go for the shelter. And that's what the yoga texts explain. Adho Guru Ashraya. That whenever, when you have this kind of a question, this kind of a turmoil, now is the time to take shelter of Guru. Why do you take shelter of Guru? You take shelter of Guru because he's the transparent medium, and he's helping you take shelter of the Supreme Person. He's a transparent medium, as in he's providing the conduit for you to connect with Krishna. So it's really powerful at that moment to do this. But I'll share one more thing, because as meditating on this, that you don't build a bunker when the storm comes. You invest in the bunker way before the storm comes. And in the same way, we have to invest every day in our spiritual relationship, in our search for a guru, and if you found a guru, then in our investment in building that relationship, so that when storms come, we are able to take shelter at that time, because the shelter is not going to appear in that moment as a magic. It could, but to rely on that is you could get an honorary degree, but to rely on honorary degree as a source of income is not a very intelligent strategy. So yes, the guru could appear through magic, but it is better to invest in that from the very beginning, so that in stormies, the way I like to think about it is that the perfect storm is the perfect opportunity to take the perfect shelter of the perfect personality of Godhead. And the way to do it is through the guru. So first thing, S stands for shelter. The number 2, T stands for titiksha. In English, it translates closely to tolerance, tolerating. When you hear tolerate, you think like, detestful. But actually, the way that the Srimad Bhagavatam explains, titiksha dukkha samrishto. Says titiksha means the ability to tolerate pain, sadness that comes to you without you trying for it to, without there being a logical reason, that just come to you from nowhere. You don't know what happened, how did this hit me? Being able to tolerate that is real tolerance. I mean, what's the great deal if you tolerate some heat, some cold? These things will come. What is a great deal if you tolerate some heat, some cold? But when something unjust happens, when something painful happens, when a difficulty comes through, and you're able to tolerate it, and it's not some sort of meaningless tolerance, like I'm just going to sit here and suffer. No, it's not like that. Tolerate means you're tolerating it so that you're not disturbed from your main objective. Which was the main objective? Take shelter of Guru, take shelter of the Supreme Person. So you're not deviating from your spiritual path. See, I'm going kind of like back and forth a bit between the S and the T, but when things become difficult, it is very easy to deviate from righteousness, deviate from dharma. I give you an example. I was recently at the airport, and it was really busy, on Thanksgiving. It's always busy. Everyone's running from one place to the other. And you could see the attendant, she was trying to say wheelchair here. But nobody wanted to make way, because everyone was in a rush. Everyone was in a panic. And it's almost like people weren't registering it. And you can see that when we have too much going on, when we are trying to rush, we are racing, it's easy to kind of forget other people's needs. It's things that we wouldn't normally do become difficult in these situations. So it's easy to fall down when there is a difficult situation, but just remember, it only seems easy. It's not easier. It only seems easy. It seems like a shortcut. But in those moments, we have to tolerate and take shelter. When we do these two, when we tolerate, take shelter, the number 3, O, S-T-O, right? The O stands for opening new doors. When there's complete destruction, devastation, yes, it's painful. 100% it's painful. But along with it, you have a clean slate, a new canvas to paint a new story. You have a new opportunity. I have heard from my spiritual teachers that whenever one door closes for service, thousands of other doors open up. But if our heart closes, if our mind closes, because if our heart closes to service, if our heart closes to, if we become hard-hearted from these experiences, then even if the opportunities in your face you can't see, it's like we have to see these difficulties, we have to see our life actually, not just the difficult parts, as a preparation. You may feel like, why am I just doing this move? The karate kid, he just does this move every day. And he's like, why am I, like, I came here to learn karate. Why are you teaching me this simple move every day? But when the time comes, you don't even know that this is the move for the fight. So same way, we practice every day. We practice a spiritual practice every day. We are doing this to prepare for that moment. So we're doing this to prepare for that moment, that when doors open up for service, our attitude is right and we can walk through the door. We're not thinking, this, but that. No, this is an opportunity. I'm going to take that opportunity and move through this new door. And it is nerve-wracking because any new door is hard to walk through. But one thing is for sure, that when it seems like everything is finished, there is room for a new door to open up. Moving on, the R stands for rising up. Since, like I said, since everything's finished, your only opportunity is to walk through the new door. And what's the new door going to do? Help you rise up. Now, if you try to rise up yourself, like climb a wall yourself, it's a bit difficult. You got to pull yourself. It's very difficult. But if you have good association, if you have the association of saintly people, good friends, progressive people, they can extend a hand to you. And it is much, I don't need to explain this to you, but still, it's much easier to climb up a tall wall if someone's pulling you up than you trying to climb it up. So rising up is very important, and it happens the best in association of saintly persons, in association of good friends. So please invest in good friends when the times are good, because you will really know whether they're good friends when the times are not so good, because that's when so please invest in the right kind of association at the right time, so that when you hit stormy seas, you have the right hand pulling you up to the right spot. So rising up. And the last alphabet, M, stands for meditate. Meditate on the will of the Supreme Person, because see, I like to think of myself as intelligent, right? Because that's why I think I know what I need. And if I'm intelligent, my source must be more intelligent than me. So nothing can happen without any meaning and purpose. So in a sense, M for me also stands for meaning. Like, what's the meaning of the situation? So I start meditating on meaning and purpose and the Supreme Person, rather than the dynamics of the situation, dynamics of the storm. What difference does it make if the twister is going right to left or left to right? And I'm not a weather scientist. They can probably tell you, but I'm kind of like, these little details don't matter. What matters is, what does Krishna want from me? So really meditating on the Supreme Person. And if you're applying this acronym right in your life in a stormy sea, you'll see a change. The questions, I notice, in the heart start to change. For example, instead of asking, why did this happen to me? You start to ask yourself, what is Krishna's plan for me? It's a little shift. It seems similar, but it's a little shift. And it opens up your heart, like, what is Krishna's plan for me? You start to look for something different. Another example is, instead of asking and thinking, like, why did they break my trust, or why did he break my trust, or why did she break my trust, whatever. Instead of thinking why my trust was broken, it's not so much the trust is broken, it's just that we have some sort of a faith invested in the idea that if everything just remains the same, it's all going to be okay. But sometimes same is not good for growth. Just like, I love gardening, I always give these examples. Just like the little plant is safe inside the ground, is living in that environment, the earth is its world. But then one day it has to break out of the earth, right? And come out as a little leaf. It's coming into a different world. It's coming to a different atmosphere altogether. It's the same way. And it's just, think about it, breaking through the earth. In the same way, we just kind of like become like a porcelain doll, like a cast, acting in this way, trying to please everybody. And sometimes, yes, it is stable, but at the same time, it's not good for growth. For the new leaves to grow, that cast has to break. So it's not so much someone broke your trust. It's more that my cast is broken, like this thing, this frame that I was stuck in. And instead of asking, what have I lost? You start to think, what have I gained from this situation? And it's a complete shift starts to happen therein. And there is a reason actually, everyone knows Arjuna from the Bhagavad Gita, but not everyone knows his mother, Kunti, Queen Kunti, who is a very advanced transcendentalist, a very advanced yogini. And after a lifetime of storms, she prays to Krishna in the end. She's praying to Krishna and she says, Vipda Shantu Tat Shashwat, Tatra Tatra Jagatpate. And it's a very advanced prayer. I'm not saying you should pray like that. I'm just explaining her prayer just to give us a glimpse of what the full potential of applying this philosophy is. She's praying, let these calamities come again and again. That's interesting. But she's saying, because when these calamities come, you're always there. Because by now, she has a clear vision. She can see Krishna in the situation. She's like, when these calamities come, you're always there. And as long as you're there, and as long as I'm watching you, I'm not going to see repeated birth and death. So that's real wisdom, because a storm provides you this opportunity to distill your consciousness, really like laser focus. Instead of worrying about, is the storm going in this direction or that direction? Did it pick this tree or that tree? You just really laser focus on what is my purpose in this life? What is the meaning of the storm? Where am I supposed to go with this experience? You really start to meditate on the Supreme Person in a very prayerful mood. It gives you that opportunity. So don't let a storm, don't let a calamity go by waste. Use it in the best possible way.